Hey ladies, all of you who are in menopause or striving for hormonal balance and are considering HRT or already on HRT, I want to share with you something where I really messed this up. My biggest mistake when it came down to HRT. It's not an easy topic, and I know there's a lot of controversy out there, and you might think at the end of the video, that was really not smart, what she did, that she's a bit crazy, or yeah, I would have done the same. But that's up to you. I want to bring as much information as I can on the topic of HRT, on hormones and menopause as possible. So I'm sharing my story, and I hope that this will be helpful for some of you. So let's get started.
Have you ever second-guessed yourself when taking your hormones? I thought I could make it without HRT. A lot of women will wait to take their hormones because they're either afraid or uncertain. A year of loss in bone density, a year of changes in my brain, blood vessels not repaired completely, and a decline in my immune system, and outwardly premature aging and wrinkles. My quality of sleep is drastically impacted by whether I'm getting my hormones, how I sleep, the length of time I sleep, the quality of sleep.
Have you second-guessed yourself when it comes to hormone replacement therapy?
Well, I did. It was a huge mistake for me. I found something that worked for me, but I was confused after reading mixed research, wanting to stay natural, and listening to the opinions from different doctors and listening to what other people were doing. Let me give you a bit of history. I was pretty lucky to be brought up in a family that valued health. My parents strived to eat healthy. We stayed away from processed foods, sugars. My parents cooked every day. We never ate fast food. My father cultivated his own garden and grew his own vegetables. Exercise was also essential. Both my parents were runners, and we did a lot of cross-country skiing in the winter in Canada, swimming, running, and all kinds of sports in the summer sunshine. And my mother and I used all kinds of natural things from the kitchen for beauty to moisturize our skin, make face masks. We tried things. Some things were successful and others weren't. Because I strived to stay natural, I really struggled with taking HRT. During my reproductive years, I was never on any birth control. I didn't want to play with my natural hormone system. So instead, I chose to track my cycle. I was fairly regular, and I could tell when I was ovulating. If I struggled with a health issue, a mental issue, I would try different things, techniques, tools, and work through it instead of taking medications. Now that's just me, and it's totally okay if you approach things differently. I like to use my own body as a laboratory, experiment and feel the effects and what works for me. So when I started to struggle approaching menopause, I thought I could do the same for my menopause symptoms. I thought I could make it without HRT, but actually before that, what brought me to explore hormones was my thyroid condition. I have hypothyroidism. My thyroid is sluggish. So this condition got me into looking at what I can do naturally to affect my thyroid and stop feeling so tired, because I love to be active and outdoors. So I saw a natural path and made a lot of changes to my diet, which some would have considered healthy already. It was not tailored specifically to my condition. For example, I had to get rid of nightshades. I stopped eating dairy, gluten, and whatever I was sensitive to. I got rid of my beauty products, switched shampoos to a natural one, so I had less exposure to endocrine disruptors, and I started taking thyroid-specific supplements like selenium, zinc, and iodine. This actually all helped me feel better. And when I had my blood checked after being diligent with this diet for 9 months, my thyroid numbers had improved. Then came menopause. It seemed to hit me like a brick wall. The worst were my hot flashes. They were every 2 hours, and also came night sweats, and my sleep was interrupted. And this made me tired all the time, irritable, angry, and I had outbursts. I experienced a loss of libido, loss of clitoral sensation, and intercourse became painful. I was also forgetting things, and I was miserable. I went to see a hormone specialist where I had an intense workup through a physical, blood work, urine tests, and a symptom questionnaire. It was actually after that visit that I started to take thyroid hormones and left with a prescription for all the sexy hormones that were missing, including estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, and a few others. The estrogel was for my hot flashes, and the progesterone to balance my estrogen and help with sleep and anxiety, and the testosterone was what was missing for my lost libido and sensation. Actually, my testosterone was measured in my early 30s, and I was told it was low at that time. And that's another story I've talked about in another video. So I started to supplement my thyroid hormones and all my other missing hormones. I did see an improvement after a week and continued to use these for a little over a year. In the back of my mind, though, I was always struggling with taking these hormones. Even though they were bioidentical, I still thought, why can't my body be in balance without taking these? After all, this is what nature intended. When you hit menopause, your hormones start to decline across the board until you die. So should we not let nature take its course? In the back of my mind, I also knew that my mother did not take any hormones when she hit menopause. And somehow she has made it to her late 80s without them and is fairly healthy. She ate healthy all her life, exercised every day, did yoga and deep breathing. So I kind of felt like I was cheating taking the hormones. What happened one day, while I was walking on a trail, I fell down and broke my knee, my kneecap. My patella split in half after hitting a sharp rock, and I had to have surgery, and recovery was slow. Since I was bedridden for the first few weeks, I decided I don't need to take my hormones anymore, just out of the blue like that. For whatever reason, if it was that doubt that I was taking something unnatural and I was feeling like I was cheating, so I got rid of my hormones and I stayed off of them for 1 year. This is where some of you might think she's crazy. She had something that actually worked and threw it away. You could laugh or cry with me, but I was really confused and I didn't know what to do. After about 2 months of being off my hormones, I found myself in a kind of depression. I was feeling flat. I've never felt like this in my entire life. It was like there was no joy. There was like a flat line. I lost my passion for doing things. I usually like to learn. I like music. Okay, maybe it was a combination of dealing with a broken knee, not exercising. I had to go through the recovery, felt sorry for myself. It was during COVID, so I was isolated. There was family stress. And my hormones, of course, were nosediving. All my menopause symptoms started to come back. My hot flashes were the worst again. I could feel the heat starting at the bottom of my spine and moving up my back like a fire. I couldn't stand it. I was peeling off my clothes because I couldn't stand the heat. I became angry and agitated from this heat. My sleep was disrupted again, and the whole cycle repeated itself. Now, there were a lot of natural things you could take, like herbs and phytoestrogens and progesterone creams and maca root to replace the estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone that was lost. I decided to try these, and they were helpful to a certain extent, and maybe they work better for others. I tried them out for a year, but ultimately I struggled again through the hot flashes and heat. I regretted stopping taking my hormones, and I came to realize I lost a year of taking them. I now know and believe in how precious these hormones are and how protective these hormones are and what actually happens when you stop taking hormones. Well, probably to some degree, a year of loss in bone density, a year of changes in my brain, blood vessels not repaired completely, and a decline in my immune system, and outwardly premature aging and wrinkles. So this was a big mistake. When I came back to my hormones, I started to feel more like myself again, and I have stayed with them. The time without them showed me how much I need my estrogen for my hot flashes. And after taking all my hormones, my menopause symptoms have stopped again, and I have no more hot flashes, no more night sweats. I've been able to sleep again uninterrupted. I'm sleeping like a rock. My head hits the pillow, my eyes shut, and I'm out for a good solid 8 hours. This is all to say that these hormones for me are critical to my health and my relationship. I realize how much they help me on a daily basis in my daily life. My quality of sleep is drastically impacted by whether I'm getting my hormones, how I sleep, the length of time I sleep, the quality of sleep. I got my hot flashes back every 2 hours when I stopped my estrogen. I fully understand how important estrogen is to the quality of my life and how my body functions and reacts when I'm not getting the proper amount of estrogen. Lesson learned. I wanted to share my story because a lot of women will wait to take their hormones because they're either afraid or uncertain, or maybe they didn't start immediately, or their doctor has told them if they waited a certain time period, they can't start hormones now. And that's just not true. I invite you to watch my next video on these questions about, am I too late for hormones? How long do I have to take them? And other important questions and concerns you might have. I hope you found this helpful. Please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and share it with someone who may find it helpful.